Hi, welcome to the Creative Bulb Podcast. This podcast is meant to help you get to your full creative potential. My name is Mashatisa. I'm so happy to be your host today. And I think for me, I know creativity is such an integral part of a human being. And it's important for us to nurture our creativity to ensure we are performing to our fullest potential. I don't know what is stopping you from being your most creative self. And I love listening to stories of different people who are living the creative life, who have decided to believe in themselves, who have decided to get into business and so many other things. And so today's guest is one of those people. She's called Nkatha Chege. You're going to love her story. She's a craftpreneur. She owns a business called Zurie Craft and Designed by Zurie. And she's going to be talking about her journey, her process. How did she get where she is right now? She has very good insights. So without wasting any time, please, people, let us welcome to the podcast our third guest, Nkatha Chege. So welcome to the podcast, Irene.
Thank you.
It's been a long time coming.
Really?
Yeah.
Like how long ago?
Well, I think since I started, I had already listed down the people I wanted to talk. That's from like last year. So maybe last year, June. I was building up content, wondering when it's going to start.
Yes.
Yeah, so welcome, Karibu, to the podcast. So what we usually
Thank
do
you
here
so much.
is my whole intention is to help people get to their full creative potential.
All right.
And you know what they usually say is everybody is creative in their own right. So it's only that we manifest our creativity in different ways, but everyone, regardless, is creative. So the whole point is for everyone to get to their full creative potential. So we usually have these chats with people like you now who are in that space or who are trying to figure things out in that space, trying to get your experiences and the things you're learning, because the things you're learning are the things someone else can pick up and say, okay, that's something I can pick up and grow for myself.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want you to tell us, who is Nkatha? Karibu sana kwanza to the podcast.
Thank you. Wow. Every time someone asks to tell us about yourself, I keep wondering. So I'll start with my name. My name is Nkatha Chege. I'm married to Chege. I am a mom of two boys. And I've always been a creative from when I was a child, but now is when I'm realizing it's coming full circle. I was one of those artistic children, and I used to love art. I did all the drawing, the coloring. I mean, that's the thing that has always given me a kick. Yeah, that's a bit of who I am. I'm a trained marketer. Yeah, did marketing for an organization for many years, then resigned. Well, not really resigned, more like the contract ended after so many years. Then in between there, my journey to creativity had already started, and I really wanted to do things for myself. And I love working with my hands, creating, building, things like that.
How many years are you talking about, roughly, in employment?
17.
Oh, 17. Wow. Okay. And then you also mentioned that you started
for one organization.
What? Hey, okay. You're one of the many few. One of the many few who stay for that long. But that's really nice. You started your creative journey midway because you were creative before, then you went into marketing. Did you forget? I want you to explain, like, at what point did you pick it up? And then explain to the point now by the time you are leaving, and then what did you do from then on?
So I had interest in art and craft from primary, and art was my favorite subject, and I used to do very well. But for some reason, I'd get into those small little competitions, or the way on TV there used to be Club Kiboko, and they used to tell you to draw. So I'd always draw and submit my drawings through post office. There are times they'd get featured, things like that. So I've always loved that aspect. Then high school, I did art until Form 2. I dropped it. Don't ask me why I dropped it, but I did. Then after high school, my dad gave me an option to do fine art. And then my mom was like, there's no money in art. What is this you're going to do? So can we think of something else to do? So I finally found my way into marketing and things like that. So I was to go to BIFA right after high school, but mama yangu ni nani? Utakula art sangapi? of
So
course, there's a
sustainable.
very limited information and exposure. But my dad was very well traveled, and he'd seen, I think, where the world was going. I sit back and I'm like, had I done art in here, where would I have been? I'd have been somewhere. I believe I needed the experience in marketing and sales to be where I am, because you need that skill to be able to also sell your own things. You could be a very good artist, a very good creative, but you're not able to reach the client. So I'm glad that route felt like it was a longer route, but the investment in that duration, in that time, got me where I am. So I did not forget my art. I used to sing, but I never used to create per se, in terms of drawing, painting, cutting, joining papers, things like that. The crafting also side. But I didn't do anything for many years. And then suddenly in 2018, I started looking at fashion. And I'm like, I think I want to be a fashion designer. I start drawing, I start cutting, I get a tailor. I feel like this is the way, da da da. Then I realized, wow, okay, you can't rely on tailors. You have to know something, or one or two. I started exploring my desire in fashion. I was like, do I have the will to go back? I looked for colleges and I realized, no, I don't have the patience to sit behind a machine and stitch. And in any case, I would have done home science. And I realized there's something else. Then at that point, those paper crafting had just started in 2018, 17, 18, thereabouts. So I think I was one who was late to the game, because I think people had already started catching up, and I was just I had time at the office to do all these things because things had kind of slowed down. Business was a bit down, so I had a lot of time to do research while I was still working. So my interest is piqued, and I start exploring the option of doing paper flowers. And let's just say I shelved the whole fashion and design thing, kind of, because I realized I would be relying on someone else to do the creating for me. When you're a creative, you have to do things yourself before you delegate them. Otherwise, you have no business at all. You can't just be directing. You're not a movie director. You have to get your hands dirty. So paper crafting is what now got me to where I was. And I remember our first project we did with you. Strange.
I remember.
You were such an answer to prayer at that time, because you really sorted me out in so many ways.
Yeah.
And I got my first project when we were just in a process of learning. It was so interesting how things fell into place.
Yeah.
Then got into paper crafting, then into floral design, and then event styling. And then I still also double up as an interior designer. So let's just say creativity is interesting. I'm just
It's a thing.
exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Mm.
really love the fact that you are always learning, because there's your marketing background
Yes.
that
Yes.
informed what you're doing. And at some
Yes.
point, now in terms of business,
Yes.
aside from employment, what was your first business like? What did you do in terms of creativity? What was your first creative business like?
My first creative business.
Yeah.
Fashion, that was just me exploring if it would
Uh,
work. So I got designs. I'd sit down and sketch one or two, then I'd talk. And let me tell you, I think for me, having done sales and marketing as the first option was the best
mm,
thing ever,
mm,
because it made me realize you could have the best product in the world, but if you're not able to sell it or you get a market for it, there's no point of you doing it.
mm,
Yeah, unless you're just doing it for pure enjoyment and your own consumption. But if you're doing it
exactly.
as a business, the core thing every creative needs to do, you must have a sales and marketing background.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you'll just be doing it for yourself or as a hobby.
exactly.
So for you to scale it up, you need to understand why are you doing it, who are you doing it for, how are you reaching that customer.
Mm,
Period. Yeah.
okay. Because I remember in terms of when you're talking about fashion, the first time when I knew
Yes.
you, you were selling children's clothes. And
Clothes.
then I remember there's
Yes.
a time
I,
we also
that
went to
fashion
do like
show.
a fashion show for kids.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Yeah, can you talk briefly about
Yeah,
what was it called?
smart kids.
Smart kids.
That
Smart
has
kids.
been
What
my
did they do?
baby. That business is my baby. It's the one that taught me, hey, yeah, I can do business. Me, I never imagined, I never dreamt I could do business, not even once. My mom's side is very enterprising and entrepreneurial. They are very good in marketing and very good in business, but my mom was not. Very interesting. She wasn't. But every other sibling of hers is in business. My mom tried having a shop, she couldn't run it to save her life. She was just the odd one out, but all of them,
Yeah.
her elder sister, the one who follows her, then there was her, then the one who's behind her has always been the most enterprising. And then my two uncles, as in, I right now, even when I think about them, my cousins, very business oriented. Actually, a person who comes out more business is my dad. He's been in business. He runs his own company for drilling boreholes for all the years. So in 2013, I feel, oh, okay, Jobo, things are looking funny. And I'm wondering, okay, so how are we going to go about this? I need to do something. And then I'm like, side hustle, manenos kicks in. And I'm like, what side hustle am I going to do? So you always start. In life, I've realized you never start from far. You always start from known to unknown. So I wondered, I sat down, I was like, okay, so now I'm in marketing. What do I usually do? Merchandising. Can I do merchandising? So I tried merchandising. So I met this lady who looked very promising and she partners with me, or rather, we think of partnership and we are busy partnering together to do merchandising. And then we get our first order, which was to supply umbrellas. Then
Wow.
it was over Easter. It was Easter Monday. So she's like, oh, I've gotten this order just to do 10 umbrellas. Where are you at? We need to get to town. We need to go source for those umbrellas. I'm like, guy, do they need to be branded? Yes, if possible. I'm like, it's a public holiday. Where are we going? I mean, no, really? I was like, it was 10 umbrellas, but it was one heck of 10 umbrellas. That whole process made me realize I don't think this is what I want, because we didn't have any TRs. Our registration took 3 months. By the way, mark
Wow.
you, this is just registration for business name. For some reason, it took 3 months. And by the time that 3 months came out, by the time the registration certificate came out, my name was missing. The lady's name was written well, and then Shega was also part of the partnership, but his names were written badly. So my name is
Oh,
missing. Shega's name is written badly. Her name is the only one that's done correctly. Yet I'm not following up. I mean, it went from bad to worse. So anyway, supplied the 10 umbrellas. We've never gotten paid to date because we couldn't produce an ATR. It was just
what?
crazy. Then I
Wow.
realized, wait. Then on that day, my certificate came out. A friend who hadn't called me in years called me, and I'm like, hey, what's up? I mean, Sheila, how are you? Where are you from? So we get talking. I tell her about my process of registration. And then she's like, you're registering to do what? Merchandising. She's like, Irene, you can't do it. I am taken aback. I'm like, what do you mean I can't do it? She's like, that thing is tedious and it's going to require too much of you, and you don't look like doing those things. So I'm like, then what do I look like doing? She's like, doing cute little things. So now, very interesting, at that point, the lady who were to do partnership with, things have gone south on her end. Things are not looking nice. We somehow lose touch. I mean, so much happened in that 3 months of that registration process. And then AliExpress had just opened up, and I had been so curious to understand what this process is. So she's like, you look like, Sheila tells me I look like cute little things. And in my head, I'm like, I had been looking at cute little things, which is children's clothes. So in my head, I'm like, why don't I just do children's clothes? So that's how Smart Kids was birthed, from a friend who told me, you don't look like selling and doing merchandising, to you look like cute little things.
Little things.
So, so 2013 arrives, and yeah, that May I decide, okay, fine, Smart Kids it is. So I order my first batch of clothes from China, and it has been an interesting ride until when Matiangi decided goods shall be impounded, and then the cargo that my goods were coming in got impounded. So for a year and a half, I had no stock.
Ah, Yeah.
So what happens in that process? I'm stuck. I'm
That's in
like,
2019.
now that's in 2018.
18, yeah.
Not in 2018. So my things are stuck at the pot. I have a shop that I had just opened in March with expectation, excitement, knowing my things will go, da da da. Whap, wrong location again. I'm like, guys, what
Ah,
is this? I pick a location where people don't walk in. I have done my shop well. I have arranged it. I had done my shop floor well. I had gotten the ropes of, the
I remember the
just
shop. It was so beautiful.
yes, it was really nice. It helped me. That's when I think now my interior design thingy had started kicking in because I was like, okay, I need to understand also why do people do shops the way they do. So I had gone into researching like a shop floor. So it helped me design the floor plan of my shop. Anyway, so all this drama is happening. Smart Kids is surviving, thankfully, because of being online. It didn't matter whether there was foot traffic or not.
Mm.
Only challenge is you have overheads that you did not have. So money you would be easily putting back into the business. You're paying somebody, you're paying rent, you're paying other utility services and bills for a premise that is giving you zero.
Can
I used to
imagine.
have zero walk-in. Can you imagine every single day you have zero walk-in?
Yeah,
Do you know how bad that is? And then this is smack right in the middle of Nyayo and Bakasi.
yeah.
So you can imagine at some point I'm like, is it that I didn't do my homework well? What happened? Did I imagine that I could bring in traffic? It was crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, looking back, I'm like, anyway, location is critical, but just do your research more.
Mm.
And then fast forward to 2018 October, goods pop impounded. There's nothing much I can do. I wait, I wait, I wait. Sorry, goods didn't get impounded in October. It was earlier. My things came out almost a year and a half hapo.
What?
Uko 2019 ma October,
Mm.
September hapo. So I get stuck and I'm slowly now getting business fatigue from smart kids. There's no excitement. You need passion. But besides just the passion, you also need some sort of encouragement.
Mm.
Because I think for me, what I realized is I got tired of having too many mishaps in between. There was too much that had happened in
Mm.
Smart Kids. My passion was just going away. So I have a good product, yes, but now too many factors are in play that are beyond my control. So I'm haggling between, do I start a new business? Do I close this one? Do I hold on? Do I bring new stock?
Yeah.
It was too much.
What did
It
you
was
end up
too much.
doing now?
I ended up starting Zurie Craft.
Oh, so did you close down the Smart Kids?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay. So it was
To
just
date,
there.
it's still online.
It's still online.
Yes, though it's struggling, yes, but it has struggled. It taught me a lot. It's the one business that taught me everything I think that I know about running a business and how also not to run a business.
Yeah,
We
that's
had
nice.
amazing days. When those days were good, the days were really good. I had fun.
Yeah.
I learned. When sales were good, they were really good, and we made a name for ourselves before so many hiccups came in. What I love about Zurie Crafts though is I have a group, I have a community that I can talk with. With smart kids, there's no community. You hustle yourself, figure yourself out. Business is cutthroat. You don't know who you talk with, who will give
Yeah.
you correct information. Everybody wants to make it. And I mean, there's an explosion at that point of so many children's businesses. I think people will realize this thing is a cash cow, and
Mm,
so many businesses were opened for kids' clothes. And I'm like, I don't think I can do this thing anymore.
exactly.
My variables also had too many moving parts at that point now because my goods are stuck. I'm wondering, do I bring in more? So if I bring in more, they'll get stuck. So there's also the capital aspect.
Yeah.
I'm like, do I want to tie down my money? And then already I have a shop that's not done well. I've had to close down now. I have my clothes in the shop. How am I going to move all this stock?
Exactly.
Oh, come on. I'm like, what is this? So I sat down and I was like, you know what, God, I am tired. I need
Yeah,
something to do.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned something about like you learned how to run a business and how not to run a business. So would you
Yes.
like mention the things you're learning how to learn and then how not to? Because I think we can listen to your stories, the kind of mistakes you made. How do you
Okay.
run a business?
Wow. First and foremost, I'm learning you have to have good systems. Good systems from the word go make the biggest difference. Then also running a business in isolation. I've learned if you're able to get someone who has been in business before or who has done what you're doing, please have a mentor. They cut your learning process in by half. It doesn't matter what industry they're in. Yeah. Then two, capital still is king and cash flow. So if you have a lot of stock but it's not moving, it doesn't matter. So I realized I had a lot of stock that had brought in at some point from China and then it had not moved. So for me, that was also a challenge. Then prior to that, I had brought things that I loved, but they did not move.
Mm,
What was the challenge there? I thought my taste is my client. Then you realize, no, you bought for yourself. So there's that whole thing of when you buy online, and then it was. Hey, let me tell you, some of business is risking. I think the things however much you're taught, you still have to experience them. Then just looking back, I keep thinking uh, specialization is nice. If you're able to specialize, like for me, I was known for children's party clothes and everything. Then at some point, I'd started off selling everything, and then I did specialization kidogo. Then I realized that was not working. So now that whole specialization, I feel kind of threw me off. And then being in the wrong location because I remembered someone who we had shopped from the same place, but their things went, mine did not go. It was many things. You have to have enough capital. If you don't have enough capital, it becomes a problem. Like with Zurie Crafts, I realized I can run my business with very minimal capital. So there are some that need very high turnover. If you're selling goods, you have to have good capital. Otherwise, your business stalls
yeah,
and comes to a standstill.
yeah, awesome.
So
So you, from your frustration
abandoned.
with Zuri Craft, you abandoned it,
Yes.
and now, oh no,
I
sorry, with
abandoned
Smart
smart
Kids,
kids.
you abandoned it, and then now
Yes.
you started
Yes.
Zuri Crafts. So can you just take us briefly
Yes.
to the process of now forming Zuri Crafts? What informed your decision?
Frustration. And I
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
I was so used to doing something. And I was like, you know what, God, I need something to do. I had this itching in my heart, in my spirit, in my soul. So I remember one of those Sundays in church, I'm like, Minister Moy, I was like, I need an idea and I need God to give me ideas what to do. And apparently that same week, he was just telling me he had been praying that God would give me new ideas
Mm.
and what to do. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Had your contract ended
At that
for the
point,
place you're working?
no,
It was still
no.
there. Okay.
We don't even know. I was
Okay.
still on those, but there was a lot that had been happening.
Okay.
There was a lot that was going on, and in my heart, I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
I realized I could do something with my hands, and I think for me that was the my biggest joy because I'd started seeing beautiful things coming up online, and I'd look at Pinterest and live there, and I'd camp on Pinterest for hours on end, and I'd look at backdrops, and I'm wondering, wait, how do people do these things? So my interest was just piqued by observation. I'm a visual learner. You know, the way people say there are different kinds of learners. There are visual learners, there are experiential learners, there are learners who just by them sitting in a class, they've already caught everything that needs to be caught. So I'm a visual person. So I just used to sit and watch tutorials and watch and watch and watch and watch and watch. And then I figured one day I'm going to do this. I just need to figure out where things are. So one day I decided to wake up and go into River Road. I discovered places of Nairobi that made me realize you don't need to go to China to do nothing. Unless you really want to, we have generally everything coming in here. So I walked. By the way, it was a God moment because I usually say I just woke up and decided I am going to walk and I am going to just walk and I am going to believe that God will show me what I need to do. And I walked. I walked Kirinyaga Road. I walked into shops I had never walked into before. I saw things I wanted. I walked into print presses. I got a banner done for myself. Now remember, I'm in marketing. So I know people who do banners, but now I'm getting banners done for me at my cost. Small little things. So for me, it meant a lot because it meant I don't have to engage someone to do something in large scale. I can get it done for me at that cost. Anyway, tukaenda nikazunguka Nairobi. I was a bit, but I was so fulfilled. Then in the process, I met you. And as they say, the rest is history because you helped me in ways I could not believe. The first project I ever got, I loved the paper flowers we did. I'm not too sure I've ever done as beautiful paper flowers in my life, like the first combination. That combination, I still look at it and I'm like, what was that? Beautiful. Interesting. So now how did I get it? How did I get it into being a business? Imdomo. Kuitwa sales and marketing si uongo. I just told a friend of mine, me, I'm going to start doing paper flowers. Kumbe she was in a baby shower committee that had been looking for someone who can do paper flowers. So see me in my big mouth. See, I have said I want to start doing paper flowers.
Yeah.
So she calls me and she tells me, I think I have a client for you. My heart skipped a beat. I was like, what? First and foremost, do you know, I had nothing. Now I have walked the whole of River Road, but I don't know where to get a glue gun. I don't. Now that's the time you came in. That's the time now we met. I remember, and you showed me where I would get the paper and the glue gun and the hot glue gun sticks. And I was like, wow! It felt like a dream come true. So I took on the job. You remember we went to Kilimani to do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
First baby shower.
And you are the one who did most of the paper flowers.
Yeah.
You stayed up the whole night with your mom doing it.
We are figuring things out.
Exactly. So I think being a crafter, you have to have that aspect of learn to figure things out for yourself as a creative. Kind of like an engineer. You have to figure
things. It's always a learning process.
Yes, you remember I don't even think we had a hot glue gun. No, I hated using the hot glue gun.
Yeah.
But you loved using it.
Yeah.
Me, I preferred using that book
binding.
You ended up using the book binding. I think I remained with the glue gun.
Glue gun, yes.
I think so. Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
So, did you even sleep that night? Anyway, as they say, the rest is history.
The rest is history. That was in 2018, 2019, 2018, yes. 2017, 18. 2018, yeah. Yeah.
2018.
Yes. Hello? Yeah, that was in 2018. So, from 2018, that's now like 3 years, more or less like 2.5 years down the line. How is Zurie Crafts now?
So, in my mind, I started seeing things. I've realized in life you have to see things in your mind before you actualize them.
Yeah.
You see things, you see yourself doing those things. So I caught that vision and I internalized it and I ran with it. I hugged it. I mean, for me, it was everything. So what happens? I get encouraged by the little projects that are coming. Now, because I'm already talking, I'm asking my friends if you have a birthday. So the day for the shower, the first birthday I ever did was for my son Zurie. And the inspiration was to do a dessert station. Yeah. So I had bought a few things. So I remember I did arts and crafts there. I still look at that project and I'm like, wow, okay. So I just told myself, I'll do it. So I did it. The second one was now my friend, a neighbor of mine. And she told me, yeah, come and do my daughter's thing. She paid me 5K. I was like, oh my God. Wow. So I didn't sleep. And then the next day was now the baby shower, the one for Kilimani. Yeah. So I was like, wait, Yani I actually can I can make a living out of this thing.
Yeah.
I figured, sawa. See, sasa kazi ni kuongea. I
Mm.
opened a Facebook page, I opened an IG page for it, and I started posting.
Mm.
Then I started posting. I posted. Let me tell you, you cannot have a business and people not know about it. It will remain a hobby. That's how you grow a business. You have
Yeah,
to tell people what you're doing. Otherwise,
exactly.
what are you selling? What are you trying to tell people you offer? What
Yeah.
solution is this you're offering them? Because that's what a business is, period. You're just offering somebody a solution. You're making life easier for them. You're providing something for them. In exchange, you get paid for it.
You had mentioned like your first, your neighbor who gave you, who paid you like
Yes,
5,000 shillings for you to do
yes,
their daughter's birthday. So at
yes.
that point, you're still viewing the biashara, the business, as a hobby. It was more of a hobby for you.
Yes,
That
it's
it
a hobby at
started,
that point.
it
It's
was
for
a hobby.
Trizex. Yes, but it's
So,
at Trizex that I'm thinking it had better work because all my heart
exactly.
is here. I love it. I kept thinking I have struck gold, or I have struck oil. I felt
Yeah,
this is my oil. This is where my well is. This is my treasure. And I
exactly.
still do today. I felt that about smart kids. It's just that it's more of a product based. As in, I rely on someone else to make that product to bring it, and then I push it out. This one, I am creating. There's something different with that because I'm engaging. I'm designing. I am thinking through the process. What would the client want? What do I want the client to experience? When you buy things that are ready made, it's very different from you having created that product that they're actually making. So now I ended up being on the manufacturing, if I can say, I ended up being on the manufacturing end and thinking now, what does the client want? How do I tailor
Mm,
make this thing to what the client wants? Because I remember when we did the
exactly.
paper flowers, I knew the baby was gonna be a girl. So I remember we did the pinks. We picked beautiful
Pink.
flowers
Yeah,
and
yeah,
different shades of pinks, and we did a bit of gold and did gray. So
yeah.
I remember looking at those paper flowers and thinking, oh my God, I don't think I'd ever seen anything that beautiful. Honestly, as late as like last week, I was looking at them and I'm like, wow, that setup was beautiful.
Yeah.
What crowned
Mm.
it all and helped me now scale it up was when the client called and the lady who had been done for the shower called and said, this is exactly what I had been looking for my baby's room because
Mm.
I
Oh,
had been looking for someone who does paper flowers. I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know where to get people. So she was so excited. She decided to call to ask if she could keep the paper flowers. That for me was my highlight. So what happens after that? I decide, okay, I want to offer dessert station styling. And I start researching and I open my page and I start posting that I can do this work. And I post my work and I post my work and I just keep talking. I'll never be ashamed to talk about what you do. In any case, it is what you do. So if you don't
mm.
talk about it, who's going to talk about it? And
Exactly.
so I started talking about it. Then now for me, my question was, okay, I need to partner with other people who offer other services. So how do I price my costs? How do I price my things? So there's a whole aspect of knowing what the industry is offering. Two, if you're offering a service that people are yet to offer, you have an advantage because you are premium.
Mm.
And then there's also when you're very few, you kind of dictate the market price at that point. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of research on my end. It was costing because I had done business before. I knew you always do 2 times or 3 times. Mark up your cost. First, ask around. You don't
Yeah.
live in isolation.
Exactly.
So I started looking around. For me, there's that whole know what your input is in terms of materials, your time, price your time. But don't struggle. The other thing about business is don't get into business thinking you are going to be a millionaire overnight. Be passionate about what you do. As creatives, it's you want to create things that are beautiful, you want to create things that are functional. People need to figure out what it is that they are solving so that you just don't go into business blindly. Yeah, serve purpose.
Yeah.
Do something that makes you come alive. Discover your why.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
even when I listen to your story, I kind of have a feeling you have not really made mistakes in terms of pricing. Have you made any mistakes in terms of pricing?
of course.
Because you mentioned a few things about you do your research, know what is being offered on the market. Because I
Yes,
know like
yes,
the biggest struggle, especially because you are in an industry that most people were not there. So
yes,
you don't even know necessarily how to quote. But then at the same time,
yes,
because you're starting, You don't want to,
Yes.
you're scared of telling someone a high
Yes.
amount or a low amount. So how did you navigate that doubt
I have done
of
all.
understanding your
I
value?
have done. You learn by doing. So we have overpriced, we have underpriced, we have, my goodness, but thankfully I've not done a lot of underpricing. No.
Yeah.
For me, what I learned is make sure that you're not going back to your pocket. It doesn't matter what you do. Whatever project you do, never go back to your pocket. No,
Mm,
it doesn't matter. So you figure out what your costs are like
yeah.
and then offer that cost. If that person
Mm,
feels they're not, like, at the bare minimum, if you put in your transport, you've bought the materials, and then you charge your time, at the least be able to recover that. If
mm,
you're not going to make a shilling on top, never ever go back to your pocket. Don't guess your costs, put them down on paper, as in get your receipts right, so that you know per project it and cost X amount. Who are you offering this product to? Not everybody is your customer. Please never forget, never imagine everyone is made for you. No. So there's also that thing of, oh, today I'm not getting business. What is my pricing like? There is your customer. What product are you offering? Are you offering a premium product? Are you offering it to everybody? So there's all sorts of questions.
yeah. So, like in terms of, because I also get the point where you say understand your value and know that you're not meant for everyone. How will you place the difference between?
When you're getting in, even when we were doing product launches, there's an introductory price. And that introductory price lasts for a very short time so that people can get to experience it. And that introductory price is rarely very far from the main price that you end up charging. You can do very low depending on who you're aiming to target. There are people who I just charge the cost of obtaining the materials. I'll tell them I'll not charge you labor, I'll come and set up, but you have to pay for the materials. So they would give itemize and tell them the materials will be X amount. So the only thing you're going to do, I won't charge you for my labor, but I'll charge you for cost of materials. So that helped me get content, number one. Two, it helped me understand. I could blunder on a small budget, you get, because
Yeah.
you're also learning. So there are people who give you, they'll trust you 100%, and they'll tell you, here's the money. You go and figure out. Do you know how scary it was being given
Yeah.
a big project? And then that's why I like the smaller projects. As you're starting off, don't despise those small projects where you blunder in small ways. As
Yeah.
in, those
Exactly.
small blunders are not seen in a huge way
Mm,
compared to giving a budget of 1 million and you blunder in a 1 million way. No
yeah.
thanks. Get your 5,000, blunder in a 500 kind of way,
Exactly.
and move on. And we did the mistakes, yes. Oh God, there are things I have. Oh my God, the things I have learned. The things I have learned. Yeah. I'll teach a master class one day, and people will pay just because they
Yeah.
will. I will have blundered for them,
Years
so
of
they will come
experience.
to learn not to blunder again. Yes. Then the other thing I have learned is put in the work in terms of understand your craft. Practice. Do your tutorials, but go out there and practice. So many times we just get information, but we don't step out.
Mm,
So learn, but do. So most of us
mm.
get stuck at the point of learning. Nimeona tutorials nyingi, alafu
Yeah, it's true.
how many get the courage to step out and actually say, I'm now offering this service? Because also you've been putting in the hours,
Yeah.
practicing, not sleeping, blundering like crazy. You do
Mm,
tutorials mpaka mwenyewe unajiambia wa practice mpaka I can't practice anymore.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because you had mentioned in terms of the Apple, you just charge for the materials, you don't really charge for the whole labor fee. So what's your take
Yeah.
on pro bono projects? Do you think it's something you have done or something you'd advise someone to do, just doing it for free completely? Does that even make sense?
Yeah, the people who just give you a platform, and what you do with that so-called pro bono thing you're offering is really entirely up to you. For me, it's content. There are days I just want content. Why people will see you're busy, you will generate trust. Some of these projects are there to build your confidence. they're not there for the money. And you really don't actually make a lot of money the first 1 year. I used to hear that as a story. It is not, it's true. It's a lot of learning, a lot of blundering, a lot of discovery. And when you get people who can trust you with an event, and yes, you're not getting paid, you're getting experience. And nothing beats the fact that you went, tried, did, failed, went, tried, did, won. Went, tried was average. Where else would you have known?
It's true.
So go for it. If someone, especially that 1 year,
The beginning stages.
wow, me, I've cried tears.
But then I've also
Premium one.
in terms of pro bono is nice, but then I also see sometimes guys can be so used to it, especially maybe it's a friend
No,
or a family. You do it for free for them, but they don't really get to understand the value.
no, you create value for yourself. Excuse me, I did pro bono for day one. The next day I'll charge you. Why? I'll just tell you sorry. Why? Because you got the experience.
But do you think it's important for you, in as much as you're doing it for free, to explain to them the value of the project itself? Because some of them think, especially you're doing flowers, ni karatasi tu, you're just cutting papers. How will you explain to a friend of yours? And they, like people just saw you cutting papers with glue. It looks like something like the output looks nice, but they saw the process. Probably took you like 10, 20, or 1 hour, 2 hours. So sometimes they may not necessarily understand the value. So what would be your take on that? Do you think it's important for them to understand the value before you do the free work?
Oh,
Because they might recommend someone else and say, huyu hata anafanyanga free, na ukimwongelesha vizuri anaweza kufanyia free.
me, I'll teach you how to do it. You can do it for yourself. Yeah. So this story, people earn some sort of respect after that. Because they realize, oh my goodness, this thing is, yeah, especially if they have the time. The time you're asking me for something that's free, trust me, more often than not, they have the time, they can do it.
Yeah.
So I'll just tell you, here's a tutorial, here's material. Ta-da!
Try something.
Go learn.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah. What's your take on friends and family discounts?
Pardon?
Friends and family discounts.
Friends and discounts.
Friends and family
depends.
discounts.
If you're my regular customer, I'll definitely give you I'll definitely give you a discount. If not, tusonge tu mbele ni customer kaa wengine.
How do you handle like friends, like really close friends of yours, and maybe your family members who have an event, like, and then you give them discounts, outrageous kinds of discounts or not? How do you handle? See, you're my sister, Irene, so you'll do my event. How do you handle some of these things?
I'll just give you, it is business. Let's draw the line. Do I come to your business and I tell you to give me for free?
Give me for free, exactly.
Actually, people who value most of my time, you'll be surprised, I've actually been my friends.
Friends and family.
I rarely have friends who ask. My family, there are some strange customers, they're the ones who ask for that. I think people have come to understand the full value of business. Okay, at least for me, my experience has not been. Have I ever done a free event for a friend or a family? No.
Yeah.
They pay.
That's nice.
If you give a discount, it's because you want to.
Exactly.
And you've seen that you can. And that discount, by the way, is not me reducing my money. No. It's not me telling you, I'll not charge you 50,000. It is, I'll charge you 50,000. However, I'll go far and above what I have offered you. If I was to give you 5 seats, I would consider to give you 7.
7, yeah, makes sense. Wow.
So it's rarely I have reduced it's rarely that I have reduced my price to 45,000. You are joking. No, I'll just go above what you thought. Exactly. I'll give you extras. I'll go out of my way and see what I can add for you.
What? Exactly.
And then if you cackle about price, it's because I'll tell you, if you can't afford this, this is an option.
Exactly.
Does it look good to you? Sawa. Does it not look good to you? Okay. So I'll give you different options that I'm able to offer. Zaidi ya hapo.
Exactly. So I think even when I'm listening, when I continue to listen to your story, exactly. So I see a point of you have come to a point where you understand your value and you're not even negotiating. If you can't, if you're not paying, it's okay. There's
if you're not paying full price, there's only someone who can do it cheaper. It ain't me.
But now with Corona, So now let's talk about
Yes.
the 2020 now. Businesses were affected. And now
Yeah.
people are just rethinking, for in the events industry, no one is doing baby showers. Guys don't want you. Not necessarily, people are not doing events as much as they did before 2020. So,
Mhm.
like, how do you approach now pricing with that kind of understanding during this pandemic? Do you lower your
Mm-mm.
prices?
Only,
What do you
no.
do? Yeah.
You see, the beauty about events and so many other things that we do, there's something called customization. It is what are you able to offer with the cost the client, with the pricing with the money the client has, with the budget. So their budget dictates everything. So if you feel you can't work with that budget, then step out in good time.
Mm,
But you'll find most of the time you can work something out. Yes, people have hoarded a bit of their monies, but you'll be surprised. Functions, events have become more intimate, so people have tend to spend more. They have
oh,
a bit more. So you find people are doing more luxurious parties, or they're
mm,
not doing them at all. So it's a bit of an extreme right now.
mm. Oh, wow.
Either you're doing it yourself or you are really going out of your way to do something wow. And
Mm,
yeah. Then I realized there is a part that is also beyond your control. I've learned God gives favor even in pandemics and in dry land. He somehow gives favor. So for me, I can testify that God has been gracious and He keeps, He sustains. He gave you a gift. He'll not
yeah,
frustrate you using it. So we still did projects in 2020, and I'm still doing projects in 2021, and I'll still keep doing.
exactly.
And it's evolving by the day. But one of the things I have learned is you may never get business from your friends or family,
Mm,
but they are your biggest referrals.
it's true.
Your best referrals come from your closest family. They
Yeah.
might not give you direct business because people say, oh, my friends don't even give me business. No, but they're your biggest referrals.
Mm,
Business never starts from strangers.
yeah.
So those are some of the things I have learned. So we always say, oh, mabesti zangu hajanipa biashara, but as in sijaifanya friend yangu yoyote function. But in the real sense, when I look back, me as Irene, I realized, oh, my first business was a referral. Second business, I was referred. Third. So by the time they start trickling in through social media, it was because you
Of
grew
the
on their
referrals.
shoulders. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, it also makes
Mm.
sense. I think also I can just see the way your marketing background really played a role. Aside from
Yes.
social media marketing and you advertising yourself, your friends
Yes.
also did the marketing for you.
Yes. And
And
you had to
also,
open your mouth
yeah,
to say you're doing something.
a closed mouth is a closed destiny. You have to keep
Yes.
marketing. Exactly. There's a lady my sister had referred to you, and then she said, of all the
Yes.
people that she had called, all the service providers that she had contacted to give a quote or just to refer, you are the only person who called back. And you're so gracious enough to even give her information. And she felt like she was a better person after that. Of all the people, and if you're planning a wedding, you contact so many people. So of all the providers, you are the only one who was able to call back. So it also goes to show you are very passionate and you take these things by heart. Your
Let me
market,
tell you that
yeah,
it's also customer service. It is the
yeah,
least. Every person you, I think for me, actually at the basis of my business, the key thing is I come second. The person I serve comes first.
mm,
And I will go out of my way. I learned it from smart kids.
mm,
People would call and if I don't have something, I tell them I don't have, and I would refer another business that has that thing.
mm,
You'd be surprised how many customers I kept. Why? Because I don't come first. It's my client. And I don't have to get business from you today. But if I can go out of my way to serve you, and it's key, it is so key. It is at the heart of everything I do. Let me serve you. Let me solve that query you came with. Even if I'm
mm,
not the one who's going to get the business, it
mm,
never rarely is it that I'm dying to get that business. I would love to,
mm,
yes, But if you still get satisfied and get whatever you needed done, I'll have done my work.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
something you've mentioned, and I think, well, because most people, when they're talking to a client, you're talking to them because you want them to give you business. So it also affects the way you get to contact them. You're always there giving quotes.
Mm,
Why have we not
mm,
responded to the quote? But
mm,
it also,
mm.
you are not desperate to get clients.
No, no. I'm
What?
desperate to serve you. And I'm desperate to make
Oh,
sure
even
that
if
you
I'm not
are
paying you?
sorted. You don't need to pay me.
Yeah.
Trust
Okay.
me, I do not need to get paid to serve you. I'll
Yeah.
serve you the way I'd serve anybody
Mm,
and make sure that you're sorted. And thank you for the compliment. I'm so glad to get feedback from
yeah.
the bride to be. I know who, yeah,
Yeah.
I did not know that. But yes, people don't bother to call back. You see a phone, you get referred, a client calls, you don't call back, business gone.
Yeah.
Amen. Give your best service. It never is about the product you're offering. Understand, what is this client asking for? Am I the person who's best suited? Yeah. So I'll put myself out there. But when business comes, I'm not constantly inboxing a client. We make decision. Ni mimi una pick. Kani mimi suniambia haraka. Ama you're busy camping there. Si
Yeah.
uniambie. Si
Emails after
sasa, hii
emails.
business, my friend, utachosha huyo mtu jumi pia mi sipendi kuwa bombarded. So be
Yeah.
subtle in your approach and be very clear. But most of all, please, can we learn to serve each other? So
Yeah. Sometimes people can be too desperate.
yes.
And the signs
And
of
people smell
desperation is just when you're just
desperation,
keen to get,
business
yeah.
and make money and go.
But how comes you're so comfortable in not, okay, I get it, you want to serve, but then sometimes mtu anakaa chini anasema, the children must eat, I need money, I need to pay rent. How do you strike a balance? Sometimes you can sound too desperate to get a job. How do you deal with that?
There's something called contentment. Stop holding so tightly onto things. You stifle them and kill them. So learn to hold on to things very loosely. Because when something is yours, it will not go. It will remain. And it will not remain because you are holding on so tightly to it. Holding on tightly to something will stifle it. It will die. So just hold on loosely.
Yeah.
And you will get what you ask for. I've learned what is mine is mine. It will come to me. The law of attraction says that if you really are desperate about something, it will go. But if you just do something and just let it go, forget about it, move on to other things, there's a lot to be done.
Exactly.
Yeah, it will come.
I think you're learning a lot from even as creatives.
Contentment with godliness is a great
Great gain.
gain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now,
Mhm.
as we now wind up and finish up, you have talked about stepping out. Now you have understood your value. You know you're offering a good product. You're clearly in the process of learning and doing things. So it's time for you to step out and to get to now those people who will value your work. Because the people around, the people who will value your work, you don't even have to bargain with them. So how do you get to those clients, especially like how do you get to, let's say, probably maybe like the high-end clients of people who will probably value your work?
Networking.
Okay.
Networking. Go hang out where those people hang out. Get seen by them. Period. Target
Be in
them in your
groups.
social media. Yeah, you find
Yeah.
out where they are. Go find out where your customer is. Talk
Join
their
their
language.
communities.
Yeah.
Ah,
Do what they do. Where do they get the information from? How do they communicate? What mediums do they use for communication? Where do their children go to school? What kind of functions do they have? Where do they take? I mean, it's a whole lot of stuff. Study them. But as I'm talking like that, I need to do my own research and my own homework. The other option is do what you do so well, you cannot be ignored.
oh yeah, I like that. So
People
now,
will just find you, as in you'll be inevitably discovered. People will just be saying, umona nani? Umona kazi umtu. You will not need to even hang out. You will be so good, you will stand up from the crowd.
exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. We are learning so much from you, Irene. I like the statement, godliness, being content. I think that was just the statement for this interview, being content and not being too desperate. What advice would you have for someone who's looking to turn their hobby into a business, to monetize their hobby? Like you have been making maths, whatever.
Passion to profit. I know. First and foremost, do your research.
Mhm.
about your craft, get good at it, then start talking about what you offer.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the process is very basic.
Just talk about it.
Get good at what you're doing,
Yeah.
practice, get opportunities to blunder. Those pro bono things.
Pro bono
Those
projects.
yes, sit under someone.
Yeah, sit under someone.
Oh, sit under someone if you can. At times it saves you half the trouble. You see all their mistakes. You cut your learning process by half. Internships and things like that. You can sit under someone. You will have saved yourself.
Exactly.
Especially if they're very busy. You can do that. What else? Purpose. Learn whatever it is you're doing. You just know you're serving. It's service. Service as unto the Lord, the service as unto.
Wow, that's really nice.
Never approach business from a point of I'm coming in to just make money. You will get frustrated. Oh my God, you will be wondering, what is this? Yeah. Bituko ground in a different tofauti sana.
You'll be shocked.
Yeah.
So in terms of now discipline, are there any disciplines to be successful in a business like yours? Are there any standards or disciplines you have developed for yourself that have really helped you to continue? Because sometimes if it's a hobby, today today you wake up in the morning and like, hey, I'm not looking for clients, I feel tired, or I don't know, I just don't feel like doing it. Or the days when you're okay, you are doing the business. The days when you're not okay, you feel like doing something else. How do you keep yourself disciplined throughout this whole process?
I practice as much as I can on my craft. And then besides practicing, I take time to, of course, read. First, I'm very deliberate about marketing my services. So I always post about something that I'm doing every day.
Wow.
So yeah, every day on my status, whatever platform it is, I have to talk about what I'm doing or what I offer every day. As in, you'll get tired of me, but you'll basically never forget what I do.
Exactly.
Two, I read, I research, I research, I read, but I do. Don't just read, but do also. Yeah.
I think you have Zurie Crafts and Design by Zurie.
Yes.
What's the future like?
Basically, just to maximize potential and serve purpose.
Based on the things we've talked about today and just the different things regarding pricing, desperation being content, if there's one piece of advice you'd want to give someone who wants to get into business or who has this hobby or talent, what would you tell them?
Just start. Stop overthinking. Then also, as you're learning, don't just be in continuous learning mode. Do. Let it stop being an idea in your head. Execute it and present it to people. Let people critique it and get it out of the way. So many of us, we just do it in our heads. We never actually actualize the whole process of getting it done. There's a quote, or there's a research that said so many of us are very good at imagining. We do it in our heads, but we actually never get it done. So tick it off your bucket list. Go out there and actualize what is in that head of yours. If you're a baker, buy those tins and bake your first cake and let it flop and laugh at it and eat burnt offerings. But the second day, get up and do something else. Yes, because most of us just get stuck at the nitafanya siku gani, nitafanya tu. Procrastinators ndio wengi. Tuwache kuprocrastinate.
Wow. Thank you so much for listening. Follow Irene's pages on Instagram, Zurie Crafts and Design by Zurie. There are 2 pages, and on Facebook as well. Thank you so much for listening. You are amazing. This has been a very interesting chat. I hope you have learned as well. For any questions on Irene's services, if you need any of her services, interiors, if you need any paper flowers, or any event you're looking to plan and you're looking for a florist, Irene is the plug. Have an amazing week.